guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over an email that was sent from a subscriber. This is my guy, he's 36 years old, and he shares his story from like 2 years ago when he abruptly kicked his girlfriend to the curb when she was up to no good. Now when I say up to no good, it was either she was already cheating or she was darn close to it. This guy obviously saw what was going on and handled things accordingly. And let me tell you, I'm doing this one for two reasons, guys. One, to show you how you should handle things just like this guy when you see they're up to no good. And two, what can happen when a woman feels too comfortable in the relationship. I've talked about this a lot of times, that when they start developing certainty, that some BS can happen. Well, this is a perfect example. And when I say that often, guys, it could be BS in terms of you've been dating a while and you're having a good time, but then her real personality comes out. And it can be just annoying traits, stuff like that, to outright pure disrespect and cheating and all that. And things that give women certainty could be just simply you tolerating her BS and not checking her. So she's like, okay, I can keep doing this, and he's not going to say anything. To agreeing to an exclusive relationship, and she thinks, oh, I got this guy, to moving in together, to putting a ring on her finger. More and more certainty. And it doesn't mean by giving them certainty they're all going to cheat or do something like this, but you will start to see truer colors when they feel safe. And the level of certainty all depends on what you choose to do and how you go about the whole thing. And in this one here, moving in with his girlfriend, that's when her colors came out. And they're not very good ones. And by the way, guys, this guy he openly admits he's a relationship guy. He does want to have children one day and a family. So this is why he's sharing this, but he does want to find a good one day, but he hasn't given up yet, but, wanted to share this accordingly. So it starts off, says here, hello SSM. I've been watching the channel for a while now, and for the most part, I agree with the message that you're putting out there. There are a few disagreements, but not many. I want to send in my story to you, and you might find it useful. Feel free to use it however you see fit. If not, that's okay. Blah, blah, blah. Have a prosperous year. Well, you're in luck, amigo, because this is a good one. You can call me Matt. I'm 36, but my story happened 2 years ago when I was in a serious relationship with a woman I will call Lily, who is 31 years old at the time. Prior to Lily, I've been in a few longer relationships, but they did not work out. I was of the opinion of waiting to move in together until we were sure it was going to work out long term. Before I go further, let me say openly that I'm a relationship guy, and I want a family and children someday. All right, man, there's nothing wrong with that. There are a lot of you out there, and whether you want to admit it or not, there are plenty of you guys watching this right now that do want kids one day. I think the common theme I'm noticing with the guys when they say they're relationship guys and marriage, it's less about the marriage. They want kids. They want a family. They want sons, that type of thing. I'm the third child out of 4 in my family, and so far, I'm the only one that has never been married or have children. I have 2 older sisters and a younger brother. Out of them, one of my sisters is divorced with kids, and my brother is also divorced with kids. And yeah, you want to get married? My other sister has been going strong for 7 years, so hopefully they work out. So I want to point something out here. Okay, 4 siblings, 2 of which are divorced. His one sister is married 7 years, so far so good. Let's just say, for argument's sake, that the sister that's married and things are good continues that way for life. Great. And let's just say our guy here gains all this knowledge, and one day he finds a good one and makes it work, and she's a good one too, and makes it work. Well, that still means 50% of his siblings got divorced. That lines up pretty much with the averages here in this country. It was hard on my family when my siblings went through their divorces, and I paid attention. My brother's wife never treated him very well, and I pointed out to him several times over the years, but he ignored me and married her anyway. Well, that's on him, man. They had 2 kids and were divorced in under 4 years. Shocker. And that's a shame for those kids, That was about 6 years ago, and he's still struggling to get his feet under him. We've talked about it a few times, but I've never given him the I told you so. He knows I was right, and there's no sense of kicking a man when he's down. Well, that's good of you, man. I mean, that's definitely big of you for not doing that. Now, if you were trying to warn him before, and he was a real jerk about it, and all that, then I'd have no problem with you rubbing in it a little, but if he wasn't a jerk about it, then okay. But I do wish your brother the best. I think your brother ought to watch my channel, dude. My sister and her ex have 1 kid, my oldest nephew, and I don't know all the details of why their marriage failed. What she said, and I take with a grain of salt, is that he didn't spend enough time at home and they grew apart. I've always thought that was funny because she was a stay-at-home mom. Exactly where did she think the money was coming from that paid for her life? Thank you. Exactly. He had to work hard. He had to be out. I mean, unless he was like at the bars after work for several hours a night and she's at home and, and even then, believe me, he's allowed to have 1 or 2 nights of fun given if he's bringing him the bacon. But it doesn't sound like that at all. She's just some delusional asshole who thinks she's entitled to everything. Anyway, not my business. When it came to our parents, it was interesting how differently they reacted to the 2 divorces. For my brother, they seemed almost relieved that it was over, and for my sister, they did everything they could to get her to reconsider. Yes, she is the one that filed for divorce. She didn't, and now years later, she and my nephew are still living with our parents, and she's still not working. What a fucking freeloader. But you know what? Your parents are allowing it. So she's like, okay. She freeloaded after her first husband, and now she's freeloading off your parents. My dad hates it, and my mom tolerates it, but I can see that they're getting close to the limit of charity, while your dad needs to lay down the law. I'm in my 20s. In my 20s, I was in 2 serious relationships, and the first one we dated for 2 years before moving in together. I can see the smack coming. Yeah, smack. The relationship ended under 4 months of living together. The second relationship was a couple years after that, and we moved in together after dating a little more than 3 years, and that one ended about 6 months later. I say 5 years and move in together, and this guy disagrees with me, you'll see why he disagrees with me, and we can agree to disagree. I have different opinions. I've lived with women too. I've had girlfriends I've lived with, so I know what I'm fucking talking about here. What I realize is that it's only for dating. Never move in with a woman. But if you're looking for a relationship that could end up in marriage someday, the sooner the better you find out you can be around with each other without smoldering each other in your sleep. I could have saved 5 years of my life had I known sooner that we didn't fit. Again, only if marriage is something you're looking for. If you're going to stay a bachelor, there's never a reason to live with a woman. Well, we agree with that one. There's absolutely no reason to live with a chick if you don't plan on getting married. None. A lot of guys think I can save money. We'll split the bills. Well, how many stories have you guys heard? Or maybe you've been through this where all of a sudden, suddenly she's having a hard time coming up with her share of the rent or the mortgage or the electric bill. I'll pay it back next month. And next month turns into more money piled up. Or I pay you back in different ways. And guys don't get their fucking money. You only do it just as a final step. And I want to point out something, guys. In my experience, if you're with a woman 4 or 5 years, you usually are going to start to see after a while who she is. Annoying traits or traits of lack of loyalty or disrespect and stuff like that long before you move in. When you move in together, in my opinion, my experience and things I've learned from people I know, it is more about discovering the annoying trait as opposed to like big deals like she's a fucking cheater. Because that you could probably figure out a little bit along the way, especially after a couple of years. But anyhow, I've had long discussions with my dad about all this. He and my mom have been married for 46 years. Holy shit. He is the breadwinner and she is the homemaker. Whatever they're doing, it works. So he's been my best source of info. That's not to say he's blind to the world around us. He told me one time jokingly that the only difference between a wedding and a funeral is the type of car you drive often and who's paying for it. He's got a point. I asked him if he ever regretted getting married, and he said he didn't regret it because his time, money, and energy weren't wasted on someone who didn't appreciate it. Well, I'm glad your dad and your mom had a good marriage. That's great, man. He pointed out to my brother's experience and said that if he ended up like him, he would have had regrets, but that my brother couldn't blame anyone but himself for not properly vetting the woman. Good. That's when I found out that I wasn't the only one advising my brother against marrying her. He didn't listen to our dad either. Well, your brother learned the hard way. I hope your brother learns. It was in my mid-20s when my dad gave me the best advice I've ever had when it comes to women. Notice he didn't say my mom gave me the best advice, his dad. There were 3 things in particular. He told me as many of the things that you share in your videos SSM, except he didn't call it red pill. That didn't exist back then. He just called it being a man. In so many words, he told me to pay attention to everything a woman does, who she hangs out with, and how she treats me publicly and privately. Exactly. See, nothing's changed, guys. The wisdom lasts the test of time. The first useful advice he said was that you can't fix broken people and it's a waste of time to try. They have friends and family. If the people closest to them can't fix them, they cannot be fixed, or worse, are just a reflection of the people they are around. Right. The second thing he told me was after I broke up with my second serious girlfriend, and it opened my eyes to many of the mistakes I was trying to make a relationship work. He said it's not what they do, it's who they are. Yeah, very much. And it's also not what they say, it's what they do. When I asked him to explain, he asked me if I could teach a cat to bark like a dog. I said, of course not. And he said, it's the same thing. You can't change the nature of a person. It's who they are. Either accept it or reject it. And then he said, that was what happened to my brother. He thought he could change his ex into who he wanted her to be instead of accepting who she was, and he's still paying the price. And something tells me your brother's going to pay the price until those kids are 18 years old, or till the alimony runs out, or whatever. Yeah. The third thing he told me was, one of them that mirrors something you say all the time, is that women are chameleons. He said, until a woman is comfortable in the relationship, you're never going to really meet her. They'll put their best foot forward and act out of their normal character until they think they've got what they want. I've seen that in all my relationships over the years. It's so obvious that it's crazy that so many men don't see it, including myself. At least until I knew what I was looking for. Yeah, Dad is very smart. Absolutely. Your dad's old school, and he knows what he's talking about. They're all chameleons, and they'll all be on their best behavior in the beginning. If you're dating a gal, guys, and she's on her best behavior, that means she's not really into you, but she's with you because obviously the clock is ticking. She wants a fucking man to marry her. That's about it. You know, women generally don't go out with guys like repeatedly and sleep with them and form a bond unless there's a decent level of attraction and interest. Women will go out with you to get a free dinner or kill time, but in terms of actually like you're together and dating and sleeping together and all that, so they obviously really like you and they're going to put their best foot forward. You're going to get the best version of them. But over time, as they become comfortable, the chameleon ways start to change, and you start seeing more who they are. And what happens is guys start becoming pussy whipped, and the girl starts pulling bullshit to test them oftentimes. And when they don't check them and call them on their bullshit, and when guys don't stand up for themselves, women thinks, okay, he's getting pee whipped. I can start showing who I am, and she makes less effort. And then when a guy makes the mistake of asking for a relationship to be exclusive instead of her bringing it up, then she's thinking, oh, he's really into me now. Sure, I'll be in a relationship with him, but I have to try as hard because he's more into it than me. And the more comfortable she is, that's when the possibility of BS happens. I've seen it plenty of times. I'm sure many of you have seen it plenty of times. And then don't get me started on the certainty she can get by you moving in with her or moving in together. Or you popping the question. How many stories have I covered? Many of you have heard them. Guy moves in with a girl, then all of a sudden it's like, who the fuck is this? Or he puts a ring on her finger, and 2 months later she's asking for an open relationship or open marriage before, thinking he ain't going anywhere. A woman always has to know, always, that she pushes you too far, disrespect, whatever that may be, whatever boundaries you've established, you're out of there no matter what. You may love her, but you love yourself more. And you're going to see this. Anyhow, he says here, this is one thing I disagree with you on about moving in too soon with a woman. But one particularly. If all you're doing is dating for fun, 100% agree with not moving in and spending a lot of time learning who they are. If you're dating for potential marriage, you can still do that, but more times than not, you're going to be wasting your time. It's better to find out sooner who they are and get them out of your life, and you can't do that by only seeing them once or twice a week. Or on this, we can agree to disagree with no hard feelings. I understand where you're coming from, dude. I really do. But still, we both agree, don't bother moving in together unless you're serious in marriage. We agree there. And we do agree that you will see true colors once you move in with them. Absolutely. Because that's certainty and being around them a lot more. They're not going to be able to put on the show as often. But I still think you need to wait longer on that. And the big things you can eventually see before moving in, but it's all right. This brings me back to Lily. Okay, now we're getting to the real story about our guy handling things right. Remember, gentlemen, we're here not only to be entertained, but also learn shit along the way. So he's giving background here about all that. I was 31 and she was 28 years old when we started dating, and it lasted for 3 years. From prior experiences, the first people I vetted in that relationship were her best friends and her family. Good idea, man. I learned the hard way that seeing who they spend their time with is the best reflection of who they really are. Correct. I'm not going to waste your time with every aspect of the relationship. We dated for a little more than a year when she moved in with me. Smack. Too soon. I know we disagree, but way too soon. Yeah, I know, smack. But I still think it was the best way forward. The first year living together was fantastic. Okay. But remember, they're only 2 years in the relationship. Sex on demand, and she was definitely putting her best foot forward. Well, she's putting her best boobs forward. I don't regret that at the time, even knowing how it ended. It was about 2.5 years into the relationship when her behavior started to change. Aha! Here we go. So it wasn't just the second you moved in with her or you moved in together. It was 2.5 years the behavior started to change. She wasn't hanging out with friends or going clubbing. Nothing like that. It was little things like letting her laundry pile up for a few days, or when it was her night to cook dinner, she would forget and just order in. See, annoying shit like that. Not all the time, but compared to the first year together, it was pretty obvious. That was when I started paying more attention and was getting to meet who she really was. I never said anything or pointed anything out. I wanted her to be as comfortable as she could so I could see her real behavior. That went on for about 5 months. It didn't get worse, but it never returned to what it was before. Well, of course not, because you didn't check her on it. You didn't check her on, sweetheart, I love you, but let's keep this place looking clean. Or let's do this, or let's do that, you know? The thing that really caught my eye was how often she was on her phone texting. Aha! Prior to when I noticed her change, she would text right in front of me and would share funny memes with me and all the time. Over the course of the next month or two, her phone was like Fort Knox, always in her hand or pocket, and I already knew what that meant. Guys, you know the red flags. If she's glued to... Now, let me say this. The younger people are nowadays, the more attached they are to their phones. We know this. You see a bunch of Gen Zs out there, oh my God. New Year's Eve, I'm at my friend's house for a big New Year's Eve party, whole bunch of people. He has teenagers, daughter 16, and her friends over, and we're setting off fireworks, and everything was awesome, because in Florida, everybody sets off fireworks on New Year's Eve. Half my neighborhood, things are going off. And his daughter and her friend are glued to their phones the whole time. It's like, want to light some fireworks? We practically had to drag those teenagers to come light fireworks with us, because they're glued to their goddamn phones. But anyhow, yes, when people that are glued to their phones anyway, but when it's your girlfriend and you're with her hanging out and she's always glued to that, yeah, something's up. Says here, it was always in her hand or pocket. I already knew what that meant. She had something going on that she did not want me to know about. Well, the secrets of the world are on somebody's phone. Whatever it wasn't really important to me. Just the fact that she was doing it, she told me she had no problem keeping secrets from me and ruled out as a potential wife. Well, I'm going to trust in your experience that if you could clearly, without a shadow of a doubt, see she was hiding something and all that, then you had reason to be suspicious here. Still, I never said anything. I was going to wait until the end of the lease on my apartment and break up with her at that time. She didn't leave me a choice. You know when somebody's texting and smiling or laughing, but when you ask them what's funny and they brush it off as nothing, something's wrong. Yep, exactly. That started happening more often, or she would spend more time in the bathroom with her phone than she needed to. Everybody texts when they're on the hopper. Everybody's on their phone when they're on the hopper. Let's be honest here. Or if you're taking a bath, people are usually on their phone or a book. But then they're there forever. Yeah. It was clear she was hiding something from me, and whatever it was entertaining her. I thought about going through her phone, but did not. The behavior was already there, and knowing what it was did not change anything in my mind. Well, it's unfortunate that I know you're waiting for your lease to expire, and you're still living with her, and already, I guess at this point, you made up your mind that she's toast when the lease is up. It was in October 2023, on a Thursday, if I remember correctly, that she mentioned that one of her friends from college was going to be in town over the weekend, and she was going to go hang out with them the coming Saturday. Oh, what's the name of your friend? That was when I knew for sure. I don't even know if she recognized her slip, but it was there. Typically when a woman is going to hang out with another woman, they mention their name. When they're going to hang out with a man, at least in my experience, they only mention a friend. Yeah, I've noticed that as well. I'm sure some of you guys may have noticed that in your adventures. I didn't say anything immediately, and it sounded like fun. It was after work that next day when I asked her who the friend was, and her hesitation was more than enough to know she was either going to lie to me or deflect. Instead, she chose a third option. She said, "I already told you." I said, "No. You said you were hanging out with a friend. What's his name?" She froze for a second, but wouldn't meet my eyes. Caught her. Yeah, she can't look at you in the eye. Remember all those times she's on her phone, she's giggling. "Oh, what's so funny, honey?" "Nothing." Or she's always on her phone and hiding it and guarding it. Yeah. He says, "Guys, here's a little technique I learned in sales. Silence is power." I'm sure most of you have run across a salesperson trying to get you to buy something. You can tell the successful ones from the beginners by how much they talk. In sales, make your best pitch, then shut the hell up. The first person to speak loses. That same principle applies to human behavior. Yep, dead on, dude. In a negotiation, the first person that speaks, they're going to lose. When people are nervous, they talk a lot, mostly because they're trying to come up with a solution in real time when they don't fully understand the problem. It's one of the reasons women can't stand silence. Their emotions are always anticipating the argument, but when you give them nothing to work with, they have to freestyle. That usually comes out looking like anger or blame shifting. Sounds about right. Silence is powerful, my friends. It's very easy when something's going down or she's throwing a tantrum to immediately reciprocate, yelling and carrying on, all that. It's very hard to maintain silence and be stoic. And believe me, I understand. Because it's just something in you. You just instantly want to react. But you do, they jump on it. It took Lily a couple minutes just staring at me, and I could see the wheels turning in her eyes. You mean her red eyes? Then she did what a lot of people do. She tried to buy some time to come up with something. She asked me, "What are you talking about?" I cut to the chase and told her, "I'm not that stupid and you're not that clever." Good way of calling her a dumbass. For months, this is him saying this to her. "For months, you've been talking to someone that makes you happy and hiding it from me, and now you're telling me out of the blue that you're going to catch up with some nameless friend from college. You didn't invite me along, and you didn't give me a name, so the only conclusion is you're going to meet a guy that you don't want me to meet." Exactly. I wasn't angry or yelling. I was as calm as you would be talking to a stranger about the weather. That's another thing, guys. Never let them see you lose control. When you do, they hop on their emotions and drive your ass over. Yes, exactly. But once again, easier said than done for most guys. When somebody is deliberately pushing your buttons, it's very difficult to remain calm and keep up strong body language and tone of voice and all that. It's very easy. And believe me, girlfriends and wives know how to push their guys' buttons. We've all been there. It's like it goes. Nobody else can do that the way a wife can do it to their husband. And you married guys know what I'm talking about here. Or a girlfriend could do it, to their guy. Then she says something that didn't surprise me at all. I think it's in their DNA. She said, "It's not what you think." Obag Handbook Chapter 8. "He's just a friend." I nodded, still not angry, and asked what his name was. She hemmed and hawed a little bit before she told me who it was. All right, guys, can you figure out who this mystery dude is? Who's she talking to? Who's in town? It was her college boyfriend, and she'd been talking to him for a few months, but only as friends, Goodbye. You're sneaking around, you're lying to me, and now you're planning to go see your old college boyfriend. Giant no-no. Nope, we're done. I told her, "Okay, I hope you have a nice reunion." She looked a little relieved until I told her that when she gets back, she had to pack her things and move out because we were over. Nice, bro. She wasn't expecting that one. Okay, do the countdown to the waterworks. She tried to argue with me and got a little heated on her end, but I told her I didn't care because I could never trust her again, and that was that. She tried to bargain with me, and she said she would cancel the meetup and would do anything to make things right. But I told her no because the next time she would be doing it behind my back. That's exactly it. You give her a second chance, she'll just be much more careful covering her tracks. See, guys, she got comfortable. comfortable, felt safe in the relationship. Now, we can make the argument that when she started being a slob in the apartment and other things like that, and you weren't checking her, or when she was always on her phone and you weren't investigating, that gave her more and more certainty to pull shit. But then again, we could say, hey, this sneaky side to her and cheating side to her is who she is anyway. We can go round for round here. It wasn't mean or angry. I wasn't mean or angry about her. She showed me who she was, and I believed her. It took her a week to get moved out, and she went through a range of emotion from crying to anger, but I let it slide off my back, and I think what hurt her the most. I think that's what hurt her the most. Yeah, you were indifferent. That made her crazy. Was I disappointed? Sure, but I'll never let a woman know she hurt me so she can wear it like a badge of honor. In other words, never let them see you cry. That was 2 years ago, and I'm still looking for the future missus. I'm certain many of your commenters are going to call me an idiot for still looking for a wife, and that's fine. They will, but you're a relationship guy, and you want a family and all that, and I want you to be the 50% statistic that doesn't get divorced. But, well, I'll come back to that. Maybe I'll find her one day, and maybe I won't. I still believe there are good women out there. I just haven't met them yet. There are good women out there, but sadly, they're very difficult to find. A couple of my female coworkers tried to give me the business for breaking up over such a little thing. I told them that secretly meeting with an ex-boyfriend isn't a little thing. Of course, your female coworkers are defending her and all that because they don't like that. Then again, also, smack for telling your coworkers your private business. Remember, gentlemen, the job is for building your career, rising up, whatever, learning skills, not for gossiping about your personal life with your female coworkers. Come on, dude. It's a deal breaker for me. Since then, all my detractors have gone silent. So that's my story, SSM. Maybe you can use it, maybe you cannot. Have a great day, brother. Or have a great year, brother. Well, there you go, bro. Good job. I'm sorry it didn't work out, and obviously wasted some years with her, but at least I'm glad you have the knowledge and the strength and self-respect to send her packing. And I'm sure you didn't mention this, but she was probably reaching out to you a few times, to try to get you to change your mind or something like that and take her back, and you obviously did not. So I wish you all the best, man. Again, we can agree to disagree on length of time to move in together, but yeah, you see what happens when they feel safe and comfortable, and I don't mean in a positive way. This is why it's so important, guys. You got to establish boundaries early on, and you got to enforce them. And if they're disrespected, then you handle it accordingly. Because when women think that you're not going anywhere no matter what, that's when BS happens, whether it be just simply her being a slob, like living together and she's being a slob, to the things of disrespect or scaling back the SCX to outright disloyalty and cheating and all that. They have to know that they cross your boundaries, levels of respect, whatever, you're out of there. And that's the problem that a lot of guys have, is that they don't have the self-respect and self-love to kick somebody out of their lives that do that to them. A lot of guys will just because they're afraid of being alone, or they want to have a family and all that, and it's a bad way to go. You have to prepare to kick them to the curb, and you did that, and good job. So, sir, I wish you all the best. I know you one day want to have kids and a family, and I'd say just keep doing what you're doing. You have all this knowledge out there, and I would use what you've learned in your own experience, things you learned in this channel, and I do hope one day you find one of the few good ones out there, because contrary to what a lot of people think, there are some good ones out there, but there's just sadly more and more difficult to find in this Sodom and Gomorrah 2.0 era. But I wish you the best, and I do hope one day you get a good one that has equal values, a decent person, a decent gal, and one day you can have the family that you want, and you'll be a part of that statistic, the 50% that do have a successful marriage, and like your mom and your dad. So, brother, I wish you the best. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me just think about this. And guys, you got a story to share, your own personal story like this, a good story where you're not acting like a mangina. Definitely send it my way. strongsuccessfulmale@gmail.com. This also goes for any questions you might have for my Ask SSM series, whatever things you're going through. And definitely if it works, I'll cover it. And be sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.